Well, after a year-long hiatus, touring the Mediterranean and savoring some of the most exotic dishes that the region has to offer, I've finally decided to come out of my self-imposed retirement and fire up my love for luxury once more. Oh yes, my journeys in the Mediterranean have been breathtaking, filled with heartwarming interactions, as well as gazing upon the most luxurious islands in the world. But all the while I toured these extravagant coastal cities, I couldn't help but remember all the fans that have supported me ever since I began my YouTube journey. And from me to yours truly, I would like to say thank you. And now that I've returned, I have so many tales to tell. And where better to begin than to narrate the life of an individual almost as enigmatic as Mr. Luxury? That's right, Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend. For someone that's made a handsome amount of money, Musk commands a rather idiosyncratic persona when compared to other names in the billionaires club. Unlike his peers, who love to engage in superfluous spending on planes, yachts, and other luxury amenities, Musk portrays a rigid dichotomy in how he lives his life. That's not to say that he doesn't occasionally partake in the affairs of the wealthy. We've heard rumors of Elon Musk retreating to inviolable Shangri-La destinations with some of Hollywood's most gorgeous women. But for the most, his day-to-day life is ingrained in his work. A work ethic that's earned him the highly coveted title of the wealthiest man alive. And this is where I'll be kicking off this vignette, as I take you deep into the daily life of the world's most affluent billionaire. It's no surprise that Elon Musk ascribes his tremendous success to a life driven by unquestionable work ethic. In the last 20 years of his stewardship at the helm of companies like Tesla and SpaceX, Musk has grown what were once small startups into sustainable companies that command recognition in their respective industries. Not only do they manufacture groundbreaking technology that'll determine humanity's future, but it also employs tens of thousands of people. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and while most of us are fighting losing battles with our alarm clocks, the world's richest man is up and about, fresh as a daisy. How he manages to overcome the warm embrace of his silk linen sheets will forever remain a mystery to me. I've personally experienced the warm embrace of some Persian sheets, and let me tell you, they are quite hard to wake up from. As for Musk, 6 hours of sleep is quite enough rest to provide him with the mental acuity to run his 4 companies concurrently. Musk begins his morning routine quite like everyone else. The man has a propensity for hot showers, and like most of us, does so to extinguish the dying embers of sleep from his eyes. But showers mean so much more for him. Showers are his go-to spot for a little personal therapy. They give him time to introspect and mentally map out his day before going out into the world. Once he's done, he drapes himself in the simplest of attire, depending on his mood, or the meetings he is scheduled to have for that day. After all, Elon isn't too much of a fancy-smancy dresser. I mean, wouldn't you be as cavalier if you knew, regardless of whatever soiree you attended, your net worth still dwarfs that of everyone in the room? Breakfast is more of an if matter for Musk. He prefers to dither from eating or skipping breakfast depending on how hectic his work schedule is. But on the days that he does consume breakfast, he loves to partake in a freshly cooked Spanish omelette, topped with a warm cup of coffee. A far cry from the extravagant purchases of other billionaires who love to indulge in some of the rarest truffles. Me personally, I like pancakes. Once his morning affairs are behind him, Musk drops his kids off at school and either drives or flies to work, depending on the office that he's heading to. On a good week, Musk can clock up to 100 hours of high-focus work. Most of these working hours are spent concentrating on engineering projects, as well as designs for both SpaceX and Tesla products. When at SpaceX, Musk can spend up to 90% of his working hours solely on engine design projects. And while at Tesla, he spends 60% of his time focusing on vehicle designs. One superpower that Musk credits to his success is multitasking. In a week, Musk spends 50% of his time at Tesla, 40% at SpaceX, and the rest on Neuralink and The Boring Company. This is how he breaks down his schedule. The billionaire spends his Mondays and Fridays working on SpaceX, either at the offices in Los Angeles or Boca Chica, Texas, And from Tuesday to Thursday, he spends his time working on Tesla in the San Francisco Bay Area. With this schedule, Elon spends a total of 42 hours a week on Tesla and 40 hours working on SpaceX. And he prefers to categorize Neuralink and the Boring Company as his hobbies. Afternoons tend to be the busiest hours for Musk, so much so that he finds himself skipping lunch. But on the rare occasions that he does take lunch, he prefers to do so while attending an important meeting with some of his top executives, as well as exclusive clients that are looking to strike a partnership with one of Elon Musk's companies. But for someone who engages in a lot of meetings in the afternoon, Musk is surprisingly not fond of them. According to Musk's heterodox style of leadership, meetings are a serious blight on companies and one of the worst time wasters of corporate policy. You shouldn't waste time calling a meeting unless you're sure it's going to provide value, and keep them short, or Musk will blatantly walk out if he feels you're cruising over the same point. But aside from meetings, Elon takes advantage of his afternoons to get more work done. While the average worker struggles to fight off sleep induced by a heavy lunch, Musk likes to call the afternoon his peak working hours, and often finds himself in a flow state, where several hours can pass without him noticing the time. Nevertheless, his precise work schedule helps him keep up to date with his objective and priorities. After a long day at work, Musk loves to return to his house, sit back, and relax. He strives to complete 80 to up to 100 working hours every week, which means he usually arrives home around 10 p.m. But this wasn't always the case. Between 2017 and 2018, when Musk was fighting to save Tesla and ramping up production of the Tesla Model 3, he was sleeping on his office couch, at times napping for only 2 hours before getting back to work. But since the birth of his sixth son, Ash, in 2020, Musk has opted to scale down the extra hours he spends at the office, allocating more time to unwind, relax, and spend time with the family. Plus, let's not forget that the billionaire recently added 2 more musketeers to the family, so you bet he's going to trim off even more hours from his work schedule. When Musk gets home, he loves to eat a hearty steak, preferably washing it down with a nice glass of whiskey. He also loves to partake in French delicacies, occasionally chowing down on some Parisian delicacies and washing them down with some fine wine. But away from his discerning taste in prime steak and whiskey, Musk also has an affinity for Diet Coke. Yes, you heard that right. The enigmatic billionaire loves the drink so much that he's phrased it as the most infernal ingredient on planet Earth. Once Musk wraps up spending time with his family, savoring his most favorite delicacies, and binging a few episodes of Death Note and Evangelion, Musk retires to his bed at around 1 a.m. And from there, it's rinse and repeat the very next day. With such a productive day-to-day routine, not to mention adopting the famous 5-minute work technique that has also been adopted by Bill Gates, Musk has managed to pass muster with several of his projects, both at Tesla and SpaceX, without having to compromise his family. Unfortunately, his relationships have borne the brunt of his insane work ethic, with most of them souring badly due to the Tesla boss's inability to forego work for romantic dates. One thing is for certain though, Elon Musk enjoys every second of his waking life. His sense of purpose is incomparable, and if there's one thing I admire in people, it's when they know that their life is worth living. So, what do you guys think of Elon Musk's unique lifestyle? What about you? Would you ever follow a routine like this if it guaranteed you'd make billions? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a wine tasting soiree to get to. As always, I'm Mr. Luxury, and I'm happy to be back. Pip pip to doodly doo.